and CEO of SINAI Technologies, a startup putting a price on carbon emissions. 10 plus years of expertise in sustainable certifications, member of LEED International Roundtable, co-creator of Women in Green Power Breakfast in Brazil, advisor to Project Drawdown, graduate of Global Solutions Program at Singularity University at NASA Research Park in Mountain View, California. And a partridge in a pear tree. Maria, welcome.
I didn't know I had such a big introduction. Okay, I'm ready. So every year, the Chapman University randomly gathers over 100 individuals and asks them what are the biggest fears over 94 different phenomena. And last year, 5 of the top 10 fears were actually related to climate and the environment. But it's actually a mistake to rely on fear to motivate people. So research in behavior psychology has shown that people's brain tunes out whenever they face a very complex and unachievable problem. So this is kind of bad news for people trying to solve climate change, as myself. So I grew up in Brazil in the 80s. I'm from São Paulo University. São Paulo, the biggest city in Latin America. But I've always been, every weekend I was going to the ranch, my family's ranch. So both of my parents are forest engineers, and they had taught us growing up how to respect planet Earth and nature. I've always been a very curious person myself. I've traveled over 40 countries. And the thing that I've learned the most was actually how to be empathetic to different cultures and different people. One of my first jobs in Brazil was next one. Was related. I was working for this nonprofit organization for over 7 years, the Green Building Council Brazil, and I was actually promoting sustainability and sustainable constructions all over the world. And the thing that I've learned the most during this time was actually how to internalize all these different concepts into my daily basic activities. So 7 years ago, I stopped eating meat because I wanted to reduce my carbon emissions. I actually sold my car and I started commuting by bike, which I still do today. And I actually wanted to make something to act towards everything that I was teaching people on how to do it. So during that time, I also met Paul Hawken, who invited me, later we became dear friends, but he invited me to be advisor to his book, Drawdown. And the genesis of Drawdown was actually curiosity. Paul was curious to understand what would be the biggest, most comprehensive plan to reverse global warming. So basically what we did is we did the math. We combined all these different solutions and we calculated what would be the most, the solutions that would reduce emissions the most while reducing costs for implementation as well. So this is Lago Titicaca, really interesting solar panel implementation. So the top 100 solutions that we gather are evaluated in the 7 different sectors. Energy is only top 5 out of 20 solutions, and actually the top 1 solutions is women and girls. But I'm not going to talk about this tonight, maybe later. Tonight I just want to talk about what really moves me, which is food. Food is actually 8 out of top 20 solutions. And whenever we think about climate change, we think about fossil fuel combustions and energy, but we rather think about the impacts of our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, ranked as number 3 is actually food waste. Roughly 8% of all global emissions come from the food we waste. And there is a very concerning topic because people on one side are starving and dying for starvation, and on the other side, all the food we waste are heating up the planet. So, top 4 solution actually is my favorite, which is a plant-rich based diet. So, to feed 7 billion humans in the planet, we need to have 60 billion animals that are occupying half of our land use for agriculture and pasture. And this represents roughly 20% of global emissions yearly, on a year basis. So, with all these concerning perspectives, I've always had one question in my mind, is actually how technology can enhance our natural systems and help us to make a positive impact in the planet. How can technology create abundance? So, in 2017, I got into this program inside NASA headquarters here in Mountain View. It was a 4-month program and we were taught on how exponential technologies can actually make a positive impact on the planet. And these are all my fellow friends from all over the world as well. And right after I graduated from this program, I started my company here in the Valley, SINAI, which is a software that combines climate, technology, and finance to actually help companies, big polluters, to pay for their pollution and really put a price on their carbon emissions. So one thing that moves the exponential thinking is actually Moore's Law. So Moore's Law is about the computer processor's power that doubles every year at the same rate that costs are cut in half. So these are actually 30 exponential steps compared with against 30 linear steps. But the most beautiful thing about Moore's Law is that actually not only related to computers, it's actually to any type of technology. So this is just one example, like as a solar module has been implemented and costs have been reduced as actual installations capability have been increased over the past 40 years. So I believe we can solve climate change. If we gather empathy and positivism to connect our hearts with our brains towards the same goals, if we think about systems thinking and how everything's connected and influenced by, and we use technologies to track and measure goals, we can do that. I also believe that our ancestors were innocent of the damage that they were doing. This tempts us to believe that climate change is something that is happening to us, that we are victim of a fate that we have no control of. But if we change the perception and we start thinking that climate change is something that is happening for us, that is actually a global transformation that makes us rethink everything we make and do, we start thinking and seeing things much differently. We actually take 100% of responsibility and we start seeing climate change as something that climate change can actually become hope.